Crab and Italy. I got gremlins, man. Hold on. I'm going to take a mulligan on that last piece. Something uploaded, and it wasn't my fault. And I still don't know what I'm looking at. Is this the actual one that I want up on Facebook? Let's try this again. One more refresh. Maybe this will do it. Dang it. All right. I hope everything is working fine now. Sorry about that. I'm late this time. Usually I'm here like right on the dot, like on a 6 in 1 second. I'm coming in. But oh, are you kidding me? Gremlins, man, I'm telling you, devil is really working on me right now. But let me tell you right now, Satan, Jesus ain't gonna have none of it. There. You can crash if you want to, Safari. I'm back, baby. Are we doing it? Okay. Looks like I'm coming through. And the funny thing is, okay, now this time I came in, I had my jams. My jams are going. I got my coffee in my 20-pound sledge cup. Got my notes. Got my Bible. And then everything, after having everything coming on in there, then I'm going to have these glitch problems. And I hope my feed is coming through okay. I see some folks coming in. What's up? I see Sean, Ted. What's up, Ted? Pat. I saw Christiane. How you doing, buddy? All right. People confirming that I'm here. And looks like I'm cropping in okay. Everything looks good. Oh, man. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for bearing with me. And I'm glad that you guys show up for these trips, man. I really, really appreciate it. It's, it's encouraging, because, it's Sunday night, man. You might be doing anything else, but you guys want to, fellowship, and you want to hear what the Bible has to say. And, man, that's a good feeling. That's a really good feeling, because, man, a lot of times what they don't want to hear, I'm not trying to sit up here and say like, hey, I'm this oracle of truth. That's not what I'm saying. But a lot of people that, it's like, they just want to hear either, whether it be ear tickling or they just want to hear something that's not even of God at all, and, but y'all are here with this knucklehead, your bro next door, Zoe. And it's like, hey, Zoe, let's read the Bible together, man, and that's beautiful, man. That's really encouraging. So, that being said, let's do this. Let's jump right on into this bad boy. We did, and thank you guys. Okay, Christiane gonna do me an oracle. Okay, well, thank you, buddy. Oh, how about a zoracle? That sounded a little lame, but at the same time, it's kind of cute. I admit, the zoracle, the oracle, right? Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, hey, thank you guys for, I hope you found our survey, a little survey of the Old Testament we were going through. We start right on Genesis. So if you guys were there with me, man, you and me, buddy, right there, taking on Genesis 1. And that's not an easy undertaking, because the whole book is mysterious, but like right off the bat, Genesis is like mysterious. And we went there. We trusted in the Lord to give us some insight, and I think the Lord gave us some pretty good nuggets, and so I thank God for that. And because God's not a spirit of confusion, He wants us to understand this book, y'all. He wants us to fellowship. He wants us to come together in faith. You know what I'm saying? So, Genesis, fascinating. So fast. The whole book is fascinating, but right off the bat, Genesis is a mind blower. And I think we had some fun with that one. So now we're jumping back to the New Testament. We're going through Luke. All right, and once again, I'm going to posit some questions. A lot of this stuff that I'm giving y'all is questions. And we got folks coming in. What's up, Derek, Matthew, Sonia, Donna? How you doing, y'all? Okay, let's see. With Luke, I don't even know how far, because right off the bat, it's going to be feeding us some stuff. And I'm going to be positing some questions, and not necessarily questions to add more confusion or like, oh man, there's more stuff to think about. these kind of questions, like when I think of these questions, man, I think they're more questions that don't cause more confusion, but they give more depth. They're like questions that give more depth to what the Bible is telling us. And these are questions that the Bible is feeding me. It's not like I'm, coming up with different questions. So, when we ask these questions, it's still a pursuit of, clarity. I think even with the questions, we're getting more clarity and we're getting more depth. We're not getting more confused. So as I go through this, I'm going to be making my starts and stops, as we go through this, this guided tour, let's stop. Oh, let's camp out here for a second and all that sort of stuff, right? Right. Okay. Drink. Okay. All right. Here we go. Luke. Let's see. I'm getting ready to start reading. I look at it. It's like, Luke. Fool, you ain't even in Luke. You're in Matthew. Okay, hold on. Let me turn the pages a little bit. I don't know why you guys even entertain letting me talk to you guys about the Bible. I'm such a scatterbrain. You guys remember that band back in the day, that kind of funk metal band, Scatterbrain, when everybody was trying to do like a Red Hot Chili Pepper knockoff? Remember that? All right. Okay, here we go. Luke, let's do it. All right, chapter 1. Many have undertaken to compile a narrative about the events that have been fulfilled among us, just as the original eyewitnesses and servants. So if anybody was wondering, Luke is kind of recording an account, kind of like compiling an account. Luke wasn't one of the guys that was there. Now, they want to discredit, these things like right off the bat. It's like, guys, it wasn't like it was that long after the crucifixion, okay? It's like some people want to go off of, they give validity to early accounts, early writings. So let's not make it like Luke was 300 years later. It was still only it wasn't that long after the death of the crucifixion. This is still like stuff that's going on, I think, even before 87, maybe even before 80-40. So it's still a pretty early account. And once again, concerning the Bible, thousands of manuscripts, guys. We have thousands of manuscripts, thousands of testimonies. And guys, it wasn't like an easy thing to do to put these testimonies together. Okay? It wasn't easy to do. Trying to get out there and testify to the gospel, that could cost you your life. So, they kind of had to do these things in a very careful way before they can pull all these scriptures together. For those who keep trying to say that the Bible is man-made and it's not trustworthy, it's like these same people, where are you getting that idea from? If it's man-made, if you think the Bible is man-made and it's not trustworthy, then by your own so-called logic, what you're saying is not trustworthy because you have a man-made idea yourself. And you're reading the opinions of other people who are against the Bible, and their opinions are man-made, their literature is man-made, but you're going to invest your faith in what they have to say, despite them being men and despite your so-called narrative of not believing in something because it's man-made. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with the Bible, who has the leverage of many manuscripts to hold it accountable, the testimonies of people who went to a brutal demise to testify to what the Bible has to say. So I'm going to stick by that. I would trust that. That's why the Bible is called, Testament. So these people testified, to the truth, and, cost them their life. And they didn't have anything to gain for doing it. It's not like they didn't profit off it, Oh, man. But people talk about, the Bible's written for, rich people and stuff like that. As much as the Bible admonishes, the position of the attitude of being rich, you would think that the Bible would speak more favorably of rich people. The Bible doesn't have a problem with wealth. It doesn't have a problem with being rich. But it does have a problem with the attitude of the rich, the typical attitude of the rich. And the Bible makes no reservations about pointing that out. So you would think that the Bible would have a more favorable language, or, just the cadence of it would be a little different, but it doesn't. So let's not make like the Bible was written for rich folks. The Bible was written for, like these people wrote it because they wanted power and stuff like that. These guys didn't get power. They got death badly. And so I don't understand what this big prophet for the people who wrote the Bible. I don't know what it is, you know. So or the Bible was written for the power of the white man. What are you talking about? Jesus was a Middle Eastern Jew, you know. So it wasn't white, you know. He wasn't black. He was Jewish. He's a descendant of Shem. He's not a descendant of Cush, you know. So people have these ideas, you know. Just kind of, you know, me going off in the weeds a little bit, you know, about people trying to discredit the Bible. So I just wanted to kind of feed that out really quick, you know, right off the bat about, you know, these notions that people have about the Bible. So, all right. Just as the word handed them, just as the original eyewitnesses and servants of the word handed them down to us, it also, let me see. Man, I know I can see this, but I ain't that old yet. Jeez. All right. It also seemed good to me, since I have carefully investigated everything from the very first, to write to you in orderly sequence, most honorable Theophilus, so that you may know the certainty of the things about which you have been instructed. Okay, now you'll hear people say things like, you know, the Bible doesn't adhere to a timeline, or you know, God has his own timing on how he does things, and you know, and the Bible goes back and forth between stuff like that. Well, here's an instance right here. Well, one thing about God is beyond our understanding. But one thing that God does understand is that we need to understand what he's saying. So he does put things in a kind of a natural order so we can have a reference. I mean, God he works in mysterious ways. That's true. But for our salvation, God can't be too mysterious for us to understand, because if he does it, what's the point? We ain't going to get it. If we're not going to get it, then how can we actually be saved? So God does use things in the natural, things like time, you know, and putting things in a timeline that we can follow so we can understand what's going on. And I think somebody asked me, and hopefully they'll see this video. They asked me, and I wanted to get back to them. I didn't want to just address it in a text. I was hoping I could talk about it in a video. You know, why does God speak in parables, or why does Jesus speak in parables? Well, for those who actually want the truth, they want to seek the truth. The parables were kind of for them. Okay? I mean, I know it sounds very remedial. It sounds very simple. It sounds very simple. But, you know, basically when you're speaking to somebody in a parable, it's like, look, it's like a filtration process. Those who I'm speaking this parable, the ones who actually seek the truth, they're the ones who are going to get it. The ones who don't get it, well, they're not really going to understand the parable. And even the people who were supposed to get it still didn't get it. They came to Jesus and they asked him themselves, hey, Jesus, man, why do you speak in parables? And Jesus is like, look, man, some people are going to get this, some people aren't. And I tell you what, even if I spoke this in plain, simple language, people still ain't going to get it, right? Actually, and it's actually something, and Jesus is like, man, sometimes the easier I make things for people to understand, the harder it is for them to get. Sometimes I actually have to make things a little bit more complicated for people to actually start getting their cogwheels spinning, so they'll digest it a little bit more. Sometimes I have to get them to actually think about it. You know, because if you make it too simple, because Jesus is out there performing miracles and stuff like that, he's doing this, he's answering people, you know, asking their questions, and he's giving it to them plainly. I'm telling you, and I'm showing you, and a lot of y'all still don't get it. Well, we're going to try this now. We're going to try some parables. We all know that as teachers, people have to resort to different methods to try to get the information across. Sometimes you got to be illustrative. Sometimes you got to be really basic. Sometimes you got to be dramatic. Sometimes you got to be funny. Sometimes you got to put it in a song. Sometimes you just have to resort to a variation of means to try to convey a message to people. And that's where Jesus was. One of those things was parables. So when people ask, you know, say, well, why did Jesus speak in parables? Well, there you go. It's some people, that is a way to get into their mind, and from their mind get into their heart. You know, sometimes, you know, it's like you get the information up here, and somehow either a door has to open in your heart, or at some point there just has to be a breach. Something has to happen to your life that breaks your heart, so the information that was put in your head drops into it. Now you got a mind-heart connection with the Lord. Right? That's where we want to get to. That's why God says, that's what Jesus says, love God with all your heart, mind, and your strength. You got to love him with all. We got people out there who try to intellectually embrace God. Then you got, it's like, no, that's not enough. Then you got people who try to embrace God with their heart. Oh, they love God, but they're not able to defend the faith because they don't have it intellectually, right? God wants it all. To be an effective defender of the faith, to be out there to be effective fishermen of men, effective harvesters, to get out there and sow seed for the Lord. He wants us. He wants it all, right? Okay. Great. Let's see. Dang, man, I hadn't even gotten past, let me shut up, man. I hadn't even gotten past verse 3 yet, for corn's sakes. Let me see who else is coming in, man, so I can say hi to y'all. And my feed's not even working. I'm probably just sitting here talking, man, again. People like, man, Zoe, you in that frozen position, man. You just sitting there like, hate when that happens. Uh-oh. Let me look at the feed. Did it stop? Probably did, man. Probably did. I know the devil does not want me to say what I got to say. Hopefully I'm wrong. Well, hopefully I'm wrong about my feed stopping. Dang it. All right. Let's see. I'm going to trust that everything is coming through. All right, so where are we at? Barely at verse 4 because I've been jaw-jacking so much. Let's see. So that you may know the certainty of things about which you have been instructed. Okay, Gabriel predicts John's birth. And so hopefully we can unravel some mysteries here, man, or at least shine some light on some mysteries. Once again, this is my observations and stuff like that. Let's see what we can get up to here. In the days of King Herod of Judea, there was a high priest of Abijah's division named Zechariah. His wife was from the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. Both were righteous in God's sight, living without blame according to all the commandments and requirements of the Lord. But they had no children, because Elizabeth could not conceive, and both of them were well along in years. Okay, hold on, man. Let me check something out really quick, because man, and here there's a mouthful, y'all. There's a mouthful, and by the way, as we read through the Bible, there's going to be things that I'm going to be repeating several times, and hey, I'm hoping that what I'm saying is the truth. If it's not the truth, I pray the Lord that you guys forget it. You know what I'm saying? But there are going to be things that I'm going to be repeating over and over again. And, hey, for liberals who keep, who are relentless with repeating the lie, we got to be just as relentless with repeating it too. So sorry if some things start to sound redundant. But, hey, that's how you get the truth out there. You got to keep repeating it because the lie is going to keep being repeated, and we have to combat that lie with the truth. So what do we got here? Right in here is a mouthful, y'all. Okay. There's a couple of questions that I want to address, and y'all may be familiar with these questions. Let's start with the 24 elders. Right here is where I got insight on who the 24 elders are. So we know that when we start talking about Revelation, there's going to be 24 elders. 24 elders, and their speculation is, well, who are the 24 elders? When we have this vision, is the 24 elders made up of the 12 tribes? Born to Jacob, the 12 patriarchs? Is it going to be them? Or is it going to be, including the 12 disciples? Could it be them? So right there we got 24, right? These are like, famous figures. These are the big figures. You got the patriarchs of Israel and you got the 12 disciples. Okay, now I'm not totally sure. I could be wrong, but I would just question. Okay, so let's look at the 12 patriarchs of Israel, okay, of the tribes of Israel. So one of the concerns I have about them is that they've got a death penalty. They've got a death warrant on their head. Now, the only thing I'm questioning this, guys. I'm just kind of like speaking my theories out loud. Because one of the things I'm thinking about is before we can really get down to the law, or before the Lord makes this sanction, and I think the Lord already makes it pretty clear that he's got issues about murder. And he's got issues about, we see that God has issues about slavery. I know the people want to say that the Bible is pro-slavery. It's like, no, it isn't. God makes it very clear that forced slavery is punishable by death. You can't kidnap a person and put them into slavery, and you can't sell them. You can't keep them for your possession. You can't sell them. God puts the sanction of death on that. But here's the thing. The brothers of Joseph, these patriarchs, they kidnap Joseph. Kidnapping is punishable by death. The patriarchs of Israel have a death penalty to pay because they kidnapped Joseph and they sold him into slavery. So this has to be reconciled. And the only one who can forgive the sin of that is Jesus himself. Jesus has the authority to forgive that sin. The patriarchs of Israel kidnapped Joseph, threw his behind in a pit. Then he got sold into slavery. And Joseph, as you guys read the search on, huge parallels between Joseph and Jesus. Huge parallels, right? Huge. Big parallels between Joseph and Jesus. So, and Joseph, who ends up becoming basically the second in command of all of Egypt, basically all the world, because when he's given his name, Zappaneph-Paneah, his name means Savior of the world. If you break his name down more, his name means bread. And who is Jesus? Jesus is the bread of life. Joseph ended up becoming the one who stored the grain that was able to restore life. That bread making grain, right? Bread. What's up, home bread? That's who Joseph was. Huge parallels between Joseph and Christ. That being said, so all that to say is that, well, it's kind of hard for me to reconcile that the patriarchs of Israel are going to be the 12, are among the 24 elders, because there's reconciliation that needs to be made. They have a death warrant over their head. You can't kidnap a person and sell them into slavery. That's punishable by death. So, and that's what they did to their brother. Now, on the other hand, we got these disciples. How's it going to be the disciples that are an aspect of the 24, 12 aspects of the 24? Because if John is one of the disciples, one of these apostles, well, he's viewing this. How is he going to be viewing it if he's looking at 12? He has to be one of the 12. But he's not one of the 12 because he's viewing it. And it can't be Judas. Judas, he committed suicide. And Judas, he was, he already had a heart. He had a heart against Jesus that the devil took advantage of. So could it be him? Who could it have been? Could it be Paul? Could it? Who could it be? And we're trying to make this calculation of adding 12 to 12. And the Bible doesn't really say anything about that. But I have a theory, and it's so easy it may be dismissed. But I think it's just one of those things where it's like, guys, it's so simple that it's like, man, it fits quite easily concerning the mystery of the 24 elders. And where did I get that answer? I got that answer right here in Luke 1. Luke 1:5. All right. You still going? Okay, so yeah, I'm seeing right down. Gary Ward. All right. 12 epistles and the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, so you guys just, I gave him a breakdown on that. Okay. All right, ready, y'all? Very, very simple answer about who the 24 elders are. 24 elders are, and you know what? It'd be time consuming. I can give you all their names. I can give you all their names at once. But here it is. I'm not going to name off all their names. But 5 is going to let you know. 1:5, Luke 1:5. In the days of King Herod of Judea, there was a priest of Abijah's division named Zechariah. Okay. The priestly divisions, y'all. Now we're getting down to your 24. There are 24 priestly divisions. And if you look up the 24 priestly divisions, it will give you the names of the 24 elders of those priestly divisions. These were Levites. Levites are the ones who can stand before God. Not only that, they are Davidic appointments. Now, when you look at them, I don't think you're going to find these blemishes with them. They're the 24. These are the patriarchs of the 24 priestly divisions. If you look them up, it will give it to you by name. They'll give you all their names. Those are your 24. That's what in my opinion. right? But it doesn't really, I don't think it works trying to come up with the 12 patriarchs and the 12 apostles. It doesn't seem to work. You got to fudge it too much to make it work. The one that just fits right in there are the 24 elders of the priestly divisions appointed by David. These Levites appointed by David. There's 24. Look it up. Look it up for yourself. Look it up for yourself. Don't get mad at me. All right. So now let's see what we can go from here. Now another big question. Another big one. How does Jesus get his Davidic line? All right. Okay, here we go. How does Jesus get his Davidic line? See, the thing is, how is Jesus going to be of Davidic blood if Joseph wasn't his biological father? Right? Okay, so we can look at the genealogy. Now between Matthew and between Luke, you're going to have some variances in their in the genealogy leading up to Jesus. But regardless of which, this genealogy is going to lead up to Joseph. And when you read in Luke, the genealogy reads backwards. It starts with Joseph, just so you don't get it confused. It doesn't say Mary. It says Joseph. This line is going to be determined by Joseph. And also, now there's also a weird thing, because when it starts, what it says is, this is the supposed. It prefaces the genealogy by saying, this is the supposed genealogy. So, one has to say, why are you saying it? This is once again, now this is Luke giving his honest recollection, what he honestly gathered. Okay, so there's going to be variances in details. It doesn't mean he's lying. This is what he honestly remembers. Okay? What did Christianity say? I'm talking with my hands like a Greek. Oh, don't make me get Greek up in here and break my 20 pounds lead while I get up and just slam it to the ground and say, no, hey, don't bring that out of me. I want to keep my sledge cup. I don't want to break it. Sledge my cup. I ain't gonna do it. Okay, so look. Okay. So, man, what was I saying? I forgot. You made me forget what I'm saying, Christiane. Okay. Let's see. Now we're talking about how is this bloodline going to jump into Jesus? Okay, one thing I want to share with you guys is that Jesus can't have a biological father. The reason why he can't have a biological father is because you cannot reproduce God. We're here to reproduce after our own kind. Our own kind is human flesh. But it would be outside of the ordinance to reproduce after your own kind to assume that a person could make God. That's why Joseph is not in the equation. You cannot reproduce God. So Joseph ain't going to be in the equation. It's been already prophesied that that Jesus will be born to a virgin. Or even if you read the Old Testament, it may say a maiden. Most likely pointing towards a virgin. Usually that's what you call a maiden. Like when you say, this is my maiden voyage, or this is our maiden project, or something like that. First time doing something. Usually when you refer to a maiden, you're talking about a virgin. So the Old Testament has already told you that the Messiah is going to be born to a virgin. So this hang up about the blood tie between David and Jesus is already going to be interrupted. And the Bible tells you that there's going to be an interruption because Jesus is an offshoot. The Messiah is going to be an offshoot of Jesse. The stump is going to be cut off and there's going to be an offshoot. So it's already told you that if you're going to be looking for this clear-cut line from David to Jesus, you ain't going to find it because it's going to be cut. And Jesus, the blood tie does not jump from Joseph to Jesus. Now, so then we have to wonder. So now we start speculating, right? Well, what if Mary is in the line of David? The Bible doesn't say that. The Bible doesn't clearly say that Mary is in the line of David. I'm not saying that she's not. I'm just saying that the Bible does not clearly say that Mary is in the line of David. But, so if you're wondering where Mary comes from, it tells you right here. In the days of King Herod, so we're looking at Luke 1, chapter 5. In the days of King Herod of Judea, there was a priest of Abijah's division named Zechariah. Zechariah is a Levite. His wife was from the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. So that means that Elizabeth was a Levite. Levites, as we know, are the ones who are able to stand before God. Moses, Levite. Moses could go in and talk to, he's talking to Christ. He's not talking, because you can't look at the full glory of God. So Moses is talking to Christ. He's talking to the Christ head of the triune God. That's who he's talking to. So Moses is a Levite. He's the one who can go and stand before God. So you got Zechariah in here, and his wife is also a Levite. Now, who is Elizabeth? Elizabeth is Mary's cousin. Mary is the mother of Jesus. Now you know from which line Mary comes from, because Elizabeth is her cousin, which makes Mary a Levitical descendant. I hope some Christians don't get mad at me. No, Zoe, you have to tie Mary to David. You have to tie her to David. Well, it's telling you right here that Mary is a relative of the Levitical line. She's a Levite. Okay, now, does that rule out that Mary is of Davidic blood? Does it rule out? No, it doesn't. Okay, because now we gotta dig. We gotta find the answer to that. Now, the Bible says, I think it's in Romans, and I being all irresponsible and stuff, I didn't tab it, so I know exactly where to go. But if you guys look in Romans, it will see that the Messiah, it has to be a flesh tie. Okay, by flesh, the Messiah, right? By flesh, Jesus is tied to David. That's what it tells you in Romans. So we cannot rule that out. So now, which means that Mary is both Levitical. And this is important, guys, because she's carrying God. And as we've learned, you have to be a Levite to be able to stand before God. Right now, and I hope you guys have seen my video. I hope you guys check it out. That my video that I did on the Ark of the Covenant, and it tells you if people ask, where's the Ark of the Covenant? I'll put a link. I'll try to remember to put a link, and I hope you guys watch it. The mystery of where the Ark of the Covenant is. But so you got Mary, Levite. Now, but the Bible also says that the Messiah is going to be a flesh tie. By flesh, the Messiah will be connected to David. So Mary has to be both. The Bible is plainly telling you that she is a Levitical relative. Hey, this is significant. The Levite connection to God. Now which means she also has to be Davidic. This is not a far stretch. Because if you have these Levites, these priestly divisions that are appointed by David, it is not far-fetched that Davidic, down the Davidic line, they intermarried between Levites. That's not far-fetched at all. So when you have things like, actually, let me tell you how not far-fetched this concept is, and we're gonna examine this at some point in the Old Testament when we read it. It's not it's not far-fetched that Davidians and Levites would be intermarried, because even Abraham, right, where this starts, Abraham was married to his sister, half-sister. So, is it so far-fetched to assume that somewhere down the line, the Davidic line and the Levitical line crossed until we got to Mary? Not impossible at all. Even when they were trying to accuse Jesus of working on the Sabbath, and his disciples of plucking grain and stuff like that on the Sabbath, Jesus out there saying, hey, the high priest, and David would be sharing his wheat. Things like that. It's like, you guys think that these things are too far-fetched. It's like, no, actually, no, they're not. So where king and priest, start to go like this. Now, Jesus is the only one who rightfully can be king and priest. But it ain't like it didn't happen. There were some things that weren't supposed to happen that did happen. So it ain't far-fetched that the Davidic line and the Levitical line crossed. So where we get married. Does it tell you this in plain language? No. But, and am I getting these deductions out of thin air? No. It's because of what the Bible tells me. The Bible is letting us know that the Messiah is going to be a flesh connection to David. That flesh connection doesn't come through Joseph. But right there is the picture of the adoptive line. Because Joseph adopts Jesus as his son. Just as the way God will adopt us. So there's an adoptive aspect in there. But Jesus is still a blood tie to David through Mary. Jesus comes through both a Levitical and Davidic line. All right, I think I beat that up enough. See where we can go from here. All right. Let me see. Okay, when the division was on duty and he was serving as priest before God, it happened. All right. Let's see. But they had no children because Elizabeth could not conceive. Okay, so right now we're going right back to a picture of between Abraham and Sarah. Along in years, barren, not supposed to have any kids. This miracle baby comes. So right now we're sitting. It's like, wow, this is just like. This should already be relating to the Jews in their culture because they know the story of Abraham. They've got this affection for Abraham, so they should be looking at this and say, "Hey, this guy's got clout." Okay, when John the Baptist comes through, there should be some clout here because this baby is obviously a miracle baby in reflection of Abraham and Sarah. They should be seeing that. So, and remember, that's how Jesus is going to be working. That's how God's been working. So I'm always going to be pointing to your culture. Remember these things in your history because they are pictures that are going to foreshadow the one who's going to come before the Lord and the Lord himself. So you guys should be recognizing this. When the division was on duty and he was serving as priest before God, it happened that he was chosen by Lot according to the custom of the priesthood to enter the sanctuary of the Lord and burn incense. Maybe some knock chopper in there or something like that, or some Egyptian musk. I don't know. Okay. Your hippie is coming out, so sorry, man. Sorry. Okay. At the hour of incense, the whole assembly of the people was praying outside. An angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing to the right of the altar of incense. And when Zechariah saw him, he was startled and overcome with fear. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah, because your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you will name him John." John. All right. There will be joy and delight for you, and many will rejoice at his birth. For he will be great in the sight of the Lord, and will never drink wine or beer. No Guinness? Oh, man. No. Sorry. Never drink wine or beer. He will be filled with the Holy Spirit while still in his mother's womb. He will turn many of the sons of Israel to the Lord their God, and he will go before him in the spirit and power of Elijah. Now right here, are we talking about reincarnation here? Uh-oh. Are we back on again? Because my error message just popped up and said that video feed is reloading or something like that. I'm hoping we're still good. Man, these bad connections, man. Hopefully at some point I can do something that will keep everything more stable. Anybody want to give me a heads up and say, "Hey, Zoe, you still going?" Oh, and there it is. Thank you, buddy. Okay. All right. So, what was I saying? About reincarnation. No, this is not pointing towards reincarnation, guys. When he says he's coming with the spirit and power of Elijah, he's giving authority. It's like it's an appointment. The spirit that God is talking about here is the assignment. I'm giving you the assignment. I'm giving you the authority. You're going to be coming with that spirit. It's the same way. It'd be like saying that Jesus was reincarnated. Because when Jesus comes back, he's going to come with the shout of the archangel. He's going to be coming with that authority. It doesn't mean that Jesus Christ is going to be coming as Michael. Some people believe that. They believe that Michael is the Messiah.
And that's not the case. When it says that Jesus, when the Messiah comes back, he's going to come with a shout, trumpet blast, and the fanfare of the archangel. But it doesn't mean that Jesus is coming as the archangel Michael. So in here, right here, when it's telling you that he's going to be coming with the spirit and power of Elijah, it doesn't mean that Elijah is going to be reincarnated through John the Baptist. Just John the Baptist is going to be coming with that authority. And remember, guys, it's all about relating to the customs, the culture of the Jewish culture. You know, they're holding strong to this culture, and this is what we're trying to relate to them through. So that's why, you know, you're going to invoke the name Elijah. So, oh, Elijah, eh? Well, now you got my attention. That's why they're doing this. So let's see. Now, and he will never drink wine or beer. And also, I want to point this out, guys. In other religions, you know, when we're talking about, if you notice, an angel, Gabriel, this is Gabriel, right? I don't want to be dropping names. Okay, good. All right, I don't want to be dropping angel names that weren't even mentioned, but it does say Gabriel. When Gabriel lets him know this information, notice that Gabriel does not give him another doctrine to write. So now when you go, like when you say, like for instance, you go into Islam, you have this angel, and the Bible lets you know that the devil masquerades as an angel of light. So supposedly, Gabriel came and gave Muhammad another revelation. This never happened. He never spoke to Gabriel. If anything, he spoke to Satan. Okay? And got this new doctrine. Angels ain't gonna show up and give you a new doctrine. So this right here, or like say for instance, if you got you know, other faiths, you know, where an angel shows up, you know, and you know tells you to, you know, look at the hat and I'm going to give you, you know, a whole new testament, or I'm going to give you another revelation or something like that. Be wary, guys. That's not necessarily what an angel does. This angel is here as an agent to give a report. I'm going to report to you about something that's going to happen right now that other people are going to witness. Other people are going to see this. It's undeniable. So this angel came in and gave him information that cannot be denied. So, and a child, so which means that everybody witnessed this old woman who was barren get pregnant. Can't be denied. It's recorded. It's recorded history. So an angel, whether it's an angel or whether it's a prophet, if they give false information, the penalty for that is bad. Your penalty for that is going to really suck. So this angel can't show up and give some information that ain't going to come to pass. This angel comes to give information about what's going to go down. He said, your wife is going to be pregnant. And surely she was. So, let me see, where we at? 17, and he will go before him in the spirit and power of Elijah to turn the hearts of fathers to their children and the disobedient to the understanding of the righteous, to make ready for the Lord a prepared people. How can I know this? Zechariah asked the angel, for I am an old man and my wife is along in years. Right? I just said that. The angel answered him, boy, I'm Gabriel. Can you imagine that? Gabriel kind of looking at him sideways, man. You don't see the flat threads, man. You don't see these gleaming white flat threads, man. You don't see my angels and stuff like that. You don't see me posted up like this. Hold on, Gabriel. Who you think you talking, man? Matter of fact, you ain't gonna talk no more. Shut up. No more talk for you. You can't talk no more. I don't want it. Talk to the hand. Gabriel like the original Zip It, right? Originally, it's like, no, forget all. Just imagine like Gabriel be like, zip it. What? Zip it. Shh. 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 All right. So now listen, you will become silent and unable to speak until the day these things take place, because you did not believe my words, which will be fulfilled in their proper time. Meanwhile, the people were waiting for Zechariah, amazed that he stayed so long in the sanctuary. Hey man, what you doing in there? Man, what you doing? What you burning in them incense, Zechariah? Get your behind out here, man. What are you doing? Anyway, then he did come out. When he did come out, he could not speak to him. Then they realized that he had seen a vision in the sanctuary. He kept making signs to him and remained speechless. When the days of his ministry were completed, he went back home. After these days, his wife Elizabeth conceived and kept herself in seclusion for 5 months. She said, "The Lord has done this for me. He has looked with favor in these days to take away my disgrace among the people." So at some point, she's coming out there and saying, "Yeah, hey, this is my kid. It's recorded history." All right? This older woman had a child. At some point, she comes out and says, "This is my kid." All right, so let's see. Next we'll get into, we'll come back with, actually after next Thursday or something like that. Next Sunday, just a heads up, I'll let you guys know a little bit later. We'll pick it up next Sunday on Luke 1:26, where Gabriel is going to report or predict Jesus' birth. All right, y'all, I hope I presented some fair questions, and gave some plausible biblical observations. Hope whether one agrees or not with what I said. The whole point is, if any speculations that I have, I squared it by this. I gave you references to where I got these ideas from, or my information. It isn't like something that, I wonder what I can come up with out of my own reasoning to suggest that this is this and this is this. I hope I've done that. If I have, I apologize, because I ain't trying to do that. I only want to say it if it comes from. If I can't square it from here, or if I can't point to where I got that idea from, junk it. It's junk. Right? And I don't even know, and I may have even interpreted it wrong from where I got it in here. But at least I can say, and you were there with me to witness it, that I drew my conclusions from here, and I didn't lean on my own understanding, my own calculations to say that, I think this is this based on my own reasoning. Okay? Let's get our info from here. This is its own decoder. It's like its own super decoder ring. All right, y'all. Hey, thank you guys for hanging out with me. You have a very blessed Sunday and a blessed start and remainder of your week. Sledge on.